Is that it?
That's beautiful. Everyone doesn't have something that beautiful.
How long does it normally take for you to see a result?
It doesn't have to be poetic.
Even if we only grow 1% a week.
People manage to the numbers by default.
I know you have because I'm in this space.
Because top salespeople go, yeah, welcome to the party. I've been selling like this all along. I'm glad the rest of you are on board.
No, I don't sell that way.
It doesn't mean they don't care about customers.
It's not just buying, it's everybody aligning something greater than yourself.
And help them go to sleep at night because they're not worried about their IT. Like, that's enough.
And now the man you've been waiting for, John, the sales machine, Rankins.
What is your methodology for instilling the psychology of selling with noble purpose into a company?
So the first thing we have to get clear on is, how do you make a difference to customers? So I gave you Conrad Hilton 100 years ago said, we fill the earth with the light and warmth of hospitality. That's beautiful. Everyone doesn't have something that beautiful. We worked with an IT company and we interviewed a bunch of their people. We interviewed some of their customers. It was anecdotal. It doesn't have to be a big, long market research project. But it all came down to, we sat there in a meeting with the senior leaders, said, these are the themes that came out. And we landed on a noble purpose statement. We help make small businesses more successful. That's it. Like, it doesn't have to be poetic. But now that we know we make small businesses more successful, now every piece of marketing that we have is about that. Now, when we are at our sales meetings, we talk. So we've got a number of places that we teach people how you open your calls, the questions you ask, the way you run your sales meetings, the way you share collaterals, the way you share stories. So we got a punch list that we go through. And what happens is people manage to the numbers by default because they're easy to understand. It's what we're all taught in business school. And if you start to look at, what do we talk about in meetings? We talk about ourselves. We talk about numbers. Instead, all we need to do is shift that to where half the time, doesn't have to be all the time, we talk about the impact we're having on customers. What do we coach to? What do our presentations illustrate? And so we've got a punch list that we go through. And what we find is there's probably between 10 and 15 seemingly small tweaks that when we make them, they move the emotional center of the company from internal numbers focus to external customer impact focus.
I love it. So whenever you implement these things, how long does it normally take for you to see a result of the work you're doing?
Something happens on day one. We always say 1 day and 1 year. So on day one, when we give voice to the idea that this company makes a difference to customers, and we virtually, in person, however we do it, we have the CEO saying, this is our purpose and these are examples, we get an emotional lift. Day one from that. That gives us the emotional lift. Typically, we see an earnings result in a year when they do the next year's revenue. And again, this isn't an exact science. If there's a contraction in the market, if they have a product failure, all these things that can happen. But most of our clients experience over the course of a year, and most of our clients are B2B clients. So they're making bigger, longer term enterprise sales. Over the course of a year, we just worked with an industrial company that increased their sales by 50%, which is a lot on millions.
Especially, yeah.
Yeah. And it's because they sold bigger deals. They got to the C-suite. They sold enterprise deals, because before they were just this commodity, and they're not going to change. Their product is commoditized, but the way that they bring it to customers and the things that they can put with it enabled them to step out of that. So we had one client that's pretty famous now. It was Hootsuite that became a unicorn, $1 billion valuation. And we started with them in the early days. And over the course of, I would say it was probably 3 years, they were able to become a unicorn. They grew, we've got the number on our website, like 2,731% or some insane number.
Is that it? Yeah, that's yeah. You know, I work with companies and even my own. I'm like, you know, even if we only grow 1%
Right.
a week, we'll get 52%
You'll get,
minimum. And that's
right.
not compounding it in a
I
year.
was going to say compound that, you get different math. And I don't want to over promise, because we've had other companies that grew 10% on $1 billion base. That's a lot of money. And for us, the two metrics that we always work to when we're with clients are the revenue growth and the emotional engagement of the people.
If you're enjoying this episode and you're picking up what I'm putting down and what the guests are actually putting out there, do me a favor, like and comment what you liked about the episode, or even comment what would you like to hear, what topics would you like to hear in the future, because believe me, it matters. I read absolutely every single one of them, and I want to bring you more and more value to help companies scale so that we can grow this podcast to make a bigger difference. Now let's get back to the show.
And those are both measurable things.
I love that. I call it buy-in.
The
And,
buy-in.
you know, it's one thing for a CEO to say it, but then when you go in to implement the methodology, have you ever experienced resistance? And
Absolutely.
I know you have. I know you have, because I'm in this space, or I've been in this space and place before. And,
Mhm.
you know, sometimes you'll go in and there'll just be that one guy who says, no, I don't sell that way. I have my own clients. I have my, you know, relationship selling, but he has no new clients. Tell me about your different experiences with getting buy-in.
So we tend to encounter two types of resistance. We almost never get resistance from the top salespeople, because top salespeople go, yeah, welcome to the party. I've been selling like this all along. I'm glad the rest of you are on board. But the two types of resistance we get at a senior executive level, we will get resistance from, occasionally, not always, but a CFO or COO or someone like that that is concerned we're doing some touchy-feely thing and that they're going to not be okay on the numbers. That happens less and less because now we have a lot more hard data from clients. But the other type of resistance that we get is interesting. I'll go speak at a meeting, and I speak at a lot of conferences and a lot of national sales meetings, and I'll speak and someone will come up and say, I believe this, but what do you think the but is?
But we've been doing this like this all along, and or, you know, I get results doing it my own way.
Usually the but is, the company doesn't believe this. And I'll say, well, you know, they hired me and brought me in, so maybe they do. But the but that I get the most, the resistance I get the most is, I want to sell this way. I believe this. But my boss, all they care about is numbers. They don't care about our customers. All they care about is numbers. That's the most resistance. That is the most entrenched resistance. And it's recoverable, because oftentimes I find that the boss has only been giving voice to the numbers because they're under so much pressure for the numbers. But they actually do care about customers. They just don't talk about it.
Yeah, and it's a great point, because I mean, the messaging has to come from the top, and the directive has to come from the top as far as being a purpose-driven, a
Right.
noble purpose-driven organization to make
And
it.
it does. It needs to come from the top. But I'll also say, and one of the things we really worked on in the last couple of years is the people that are not at the top need to understand that when the top is under the gun for numbers, it doesn't mean they don't care about customers. And it's just like that teacher under pressure for test scores. They didn't become a teacher because they hate students. They love students most of the time. And so one of the things we've really worked on in organizations is we all have a responsibility to keep this alive. It has to be bought in at the top, but they can't be the sole carriers of the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just buy-in, is everybody aligning with the vision of being
Right.
something greater than yourself.
And that's what human beings want. And this is one of the reasons why this works from an emotional engagement standpoint. Intellectually, it works from a customer standpoint, because who would you rather do business with? The company who's here to improve you, or the company just wants to close you? So it works for that reason. But the reason it works from an emotional engagement standpoint is once we get beyond food and shelter, humans have two fundamental needs. We want belonging and we want significance. Belonging is we want to be part of something bigger than ourselves, and significance is we want our role to matter. So if I stand up in front of my whole team and I say, you are nothing but a cog in our money machine, which is in effect what a lot of leaders say when they say, we're going to make money, we're going to make money. I mean, I'm telling you, this is your whole purpose in this work is to be a cog in my money machine. It's only a matter of time before those people disengaged. But if we say, this is how our work makes a difference to customers, and this is how you contribute, and we don't have to change the world. We can help small businesses be more successful and help them go to sleep at night because they're not worried about their IT. Like, that's enough. And when I'm part of that, I have a very different feeling about my job.
Yeah. And so when you go into these companies, because a lot of people hearing this, I mean, obviously they should buy the book. They should buy both books, Leading with Noble Purpose and Selling with Noble Purpose. When you go in and implement the psychology and methodology, do you do it with the team? Do you do it with the leaders of the company? Are you running the sales training, or are you training the trainers?
Both. So we are a small boutique consulting firm. Is myself and my business partner, Elizabeth, who's the co-author, Elizabeth Latardo, who's the co-author of this book. So for us, what's most important is that when we leave, they own it. So when we go into a company, we're working with the senior team. We are running some sales training, but then we are transitioning over so that they are running it, and that they are one of the things that we found, you mentioned COVID, the Black Swan event. We have reoriented all of our training so that it's short, it's quick, it can be done virtually, and it can be implemented by managers. So we'll generally do some sort of a kickoff, and then we're having internal people run from there.
That's a wrap, folks. Thanks for joining me today. And if you got value from this episode, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and refer a friend. And if you want even more value, go to thesalesmachine.com, click on resources, and there's tons of resources there to increase profits and drive performance in your business. Right on, come on.